Okay. Let's call to order.
Thank you. Mike Davenport.
Here.
Christopher Espinoza.
Here.
Sherelle Fuller. Here. Jenny Hagstrom.
Here.
Terry Pavicic.
Here.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Present.
Nancy Kupka.
Here.
Luca Plauskas.
Here.
And Caitlin Vincent.
Here.
Thank you.
We have quorum. Let's stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Is that for this reception?
Second reception.
Second reception. Okay, we have two opportunities for comments from the audience. The first reception is intended for audience members to address the board about any agenda item on which the board will vote. We have no slips.
slips for that.
Okay, we will move on to recommendation for action. I need a motion to accept the report of the board-appointed hearing officer in the matter of student 2023.1 and expel student 2023.1 for the 2023-2024 school year. If student 2023.1 is meeting or exceeding his goals, he may be eligible to return in January 2024.
So moved.
Jenny?
Second.
Terry?
Thank you very much. Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Terry Pavicic.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller. Aye. Nancy Kupka.
Aye. The motion carries. Next, we need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the minutes of the April 17th, 2023 business meeting, the April 17th, 2023 closed meeting, the April 19th, 2023 Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee meeting, the May 1st, 2023 workshop meeting, and the May 1st, 2023 closed meeting.
So, second.
Joanna and
Joanna
Mike.
first.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller. Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Terry Pavicic.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the minutes are approved.
Some recognitions before we move on. All right, I have a couple of recognitions before we move on to the final business of this board. First of all, last week we had several days we celebrated. It was Teacher Appreciation Week all last week, so thank you for all of our teachers and all that they do for our district. On May 10th, we celebrated National School Nurse Day, and after everything we went through during the pandemic, it was wonderful to recognize everything that they did for the district over that very difficult time. And then finally, on May 12th was School Communication Staff Day, where we recognize the work of Jill and Lauren and all that they do to support the board and the district staff and all of their efforts to keep the community in the loop of everything that we're doing. So thank you. Quick round of applause for all of those staff. It was a busy week for us. Rod Rousseau, we learned that he has been awarded the inaugural IETL Lifetime Achievement Award. IETL is the state organization for tech directors. So Rod is unable to be with us this evening, but boy, he's racking up the hardware just before he retires.
And well-deserved.
Well-deserved.
Yes.
Also, we got a piece of hardware from the Village of Downers Grove last week.
We did.
We received the Downers Grove Economic Development Corporation 2023 Cornerstone Award to recognize our work in the Master Facility Plan. Mike was there to receive the award alongside me. We are the first public entity in the village to receive this award. So that was fun to receive that. And wait, there's more.
Oh, yes.
Great day. This was on the
Yes.
same day.
This was all on, this was all on Thursday of last week, all of
my.
these recognitions.
District 99 Day.
Then Thursday night, Mike and I went to the Chicago Building Congress Merit Awards. As a non-architect, this meant nothing to me. Actually, when we received the notice that we had won this award, I almost deleted it thinking it was spam. So I then reached out to our architects that were, like, they fell off their chair when they found out that we had been nominated. It's, yeah, as Mike said, it's a pretty big deal. It is an awards event. It was like being at the Oscars in the room. They even came up with like gold envelopes and everything. The winner is, and we beat out a pretty talented crowd of projects to win the award in education pre-K through 12. Like, it was pretty fun especially somebody who didn't understand what it was all about. Once they called our name and the room went nuts, like people are cheering and like stopping to shake your hand as you're going to the stage. I kind of realized, oh, this is a pretty big deal. So it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
All right.
And yeah.
Also, $136.6 million spent on the two projects, and there can be no doubt that we were great stewards of that trust that was put in us, right? So this is an acknowledgement of the high quality that was delivered.
Well, the board expected the team to deliver more than what was expected, and I believe Thursday was a testament that we were able to do that.
Very good. Very good.
So, that's all I have, except for the recognition of outgoing board members. First, I'll start with our two students. Caitlin and Luca, thank you for a wonderful year and for all of your reports. I feel like you did a great job of representing both South and North High student bodies, and we appreciate all the times we were able to just put you on the spot and ask you what you thought, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
You just have a small gift as a token.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys come back and tell us how you're doing. You're welcome back at any board meeting if you just want to say
Yeah.
I know how much you'll miss this. I know you've shared it before, but let's just share what your plans are going forward. Luca, why don't you start?
I will be going to Indiana University at the Kelly School of Business for accounting.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
And I'm going to Mizzou, political science major, pre-law track.
All right. Very good.
So Luca, we expect you to come back and take Mr. Stalen's spot.
I am happy to help out. Spring break, winter break, I'll be around.
You've seen the spreadsheets. You know what to do.
Yeah.
And Caitlin, the school district's always looking for attorneys. All right, and then our board members leaving the district, Joanna.
Excuse me.
Thank you so much for your service to the district. Mike Davenport, who's currently serving as vice president. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You gotta open it so we can. You guys gotta open them so we can see what it is.
Gotta let Nancy.
Dr. Kupka, we gave you the most important things.
Oh,
Your
my-
stamp and your cap.
Oh, this is what I wanted. Thank you.
Thank you all for your dedicated service to District 99 through the best of times and the most challenging of times. I have appreciated all of your insight and leadership and guidance. Thank you for your service to District 99 and to our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is traditionally, if Mike, Joanna, or Nancy had anything that they wanted to share, this would be your time.
No?
It's been, you've heard me say this a few times, it's been the most rewarding volunteer work of my entire life, even thinking about the last few years of the pandemic. And it's been an absolute honor and privilege to serve with such high-quality board members and with the best community educational school district staff on the planet. So I know wonderful things are going to happen going forward, and I know that everything's in great hands with the board members that are here and the ones that have been elected to serve. So thank you.
I had to write it down, and you ended up being more eloquent than I was.
Oh, come on.
So I just want to say what an honor and privilege it has been to serve on this board. And at the risk of sounding like an Academy Award speech, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the many people with whom I have learned so much. First of all are our students, those who've represented on the board, have presented to the board, have written to the board, and just met with us one-on-one over the years. Our exemplary teaching and support staff who bring talent and commitment to a difficult job, bettering the lives of our students every day. I look back on the impact teachers have had on my life with awe and respect. It is the noblest profession. Our other staff members who keep our buildings safe and secure, clean, preparing food for our students, and all the other jobs that keep our mission chugging along day after day after day. Our administrators, past and present, including Hank, the two Marks, Julie, Scott, I'm going to get whiplash here, Gina, Rob, Jeree, Jill, Rod, Courtney, Arwen, Ryan, and anyone I missed. Tony, I miss Tony. You've all been so kind in teaching me so much over these years while improving the lives of our students and staff. No small feat, that. Our community, so many community members contribute to the district through the foundation, the boosters, and those who come to the board meetings to express concerns with their only agenda being improving education. And finally, my fellow board members, past and present, we haven't always agreed, but we have always been a true team, and that I have found is not something that many boards can say. And as we seat our 3 new board members, I finish with this thought. The community has demonstrated its support for you and your commitment to public education for all students. There will be detractors. There will be people with different opinions than yours. That's okay. Vote in informed conscience, and you will look back on your career and be proud. So thank you very much. I think we have a second reception of visitors.
Joanna, did you have anything? I don't want to skip
Well,
over.
I'd like to thank you all. I have enjoyed working on the board with everyone. I probably learned more than what I gave to the board. I mean, it was a rough time to be on it. It wasn't what I had expected, but I thoroughly enjoyed working with everyone. And I just respect all of you so much for the job that you do, every one of you. And you always listened very thoughtfully to any comments that I would make, and I appreciated that. And best of luck to all the new board members.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joanna.
New students?
Yeah, we could do the introduction of the new students, because then they can come on up as we do the transition between the two. So, Courtney, can you?
Good evening, everyone. I'm here today from North High School and also representing South High School in Arwen's absence. She is out celebrating her own son and his accomplishments this evening. So I have the very much pleasure of introducing our 2 new student board members for the 23-24 school year. And first from Downers Grove North High School, we have Ms. Gianna Hunchy. And then from South High School, we have Nala Mokath. So each of them are going to come up and just give you a few little words about themselves. Go ahead, Gianna.
Hi, my name's Gianna Hunchy.
You can pull it down.
Obviously.
Help her out there.
There we go. Hi. And I can't reach mics. I do soccer and tennis through North. I actually just came back from soccer practice. And I'm the president of our Model UN. I founded the debate club at our school. I do Scholastic Bowl. I'm on the peer jury, and I have done a couple political internships that I've really enjoyed. So, and I can't wait to do this. So.
Needed one more thing to do.
Well, my mom said
Welcome.
Hello, I'm Nala Mokath. I'm from South, and I'm also in a variety of clubs at DGS. So my main ones are I'm in DECA, so I even got to compete at nationals in Florida. So that was an amazing experience. And then I'm also in Research Club, Change Makers, and I'm also on the principal advisory board. And then with that, I also play tennis, and I'm also on the ultimate frisbee team. So I love trying new things and meeting new people throughout.
Wonderful.
Very good.
And I can speak for Arwen that we are both super excited to have these two on board. And of all of the applicants that we had, both of these young women showed a genuine interest in being a part of their community, being a part of their school, and being a part of the board. So it was really cool. They stuck out to both of us, and we're really excited to have them. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
They've over here still?
Yeah, we'll do the trade in a second, after cake. We do have one reception of visitor, but I need some clarification. Ms. Hoyce, would you like to address this board before they leave, or would you like to address the next board? There's like 2 board meetings tonight.
Thank you for asking. Actually, I'd like to thank the outgoing board members for their service and welcome the incoming board members with some specific requests.
So, well, I think everybody's in the room, so if you want to do it now, we can do it, and then you don't have to stick around if you don't feel like making it through the entire evening. Yep,
Well, you're welcome to stay for cake.
you're welcome to stick as long as you'd like.
I appreciate that.
Just trying to be respectful of your time.
Thank you. My name is Laura Hoyce. I've been a member of Downers Grove, a resident of Downers Grove since 1985, and raised 4 children in this community. And we've had quite an experience leading up to the last school board election. We were disappointed in the results in that candidates Allen, Cox, and Erickson, who were not elected to the school board, would have truly represented the interests of parents and wanting the best for their children. That is what I believe and was hoping for. But we have newly elected board members that are coming in starting tonight. That's my understanding. So I welcome them. And for those who are elected, I can only hope and ask that the board will make better decisions than they have in the past in many areas. For example, no more lockdowns, no more school closures, no more masking of students, no more invitations to vaccination clinics. We ask that this board discontinue diversity, equity, and inclusion in favor of merit-based education that will do much more to restore real academic excellence in District 99. We ask the new members of the board to respect and acknowledge parental rights in everything that they do, most importantly, keeping parents advised of any issues concerning their students. We ask the district to discontinue the Safe to Help program that puts students in touch 24/7 with a trusted adult from the state agencies that address various issues. Instead, put them in touch with the parents that most care about their own children and need to know about these issues, whether it relates to bullying or preference given to minority students or desired gender transition. All of these are things parents must know. We ask the newly elected board members to consider it's time for school districts to support laws in Illinois that will limit the power of public health institutions so that what happened during the lockdowns that was damaging to our students and caused them to not be able to go to school and learn from their teachers will not happen again. So in light of that, we endured 3 years of useless and divisive policies that included the vaccine mandates and discrimination against the unvaccinated. So before the pandemic, I thought that things would continue to improve in that way, but they got worse. And so we're hoping for a resumption of merit-based education that treats all students equally, because equity is the opposite of equality. A lot of people don't understand that. I understand it well. So we ask that you gracefully accept limits on power of public health institutions. What was given by the CDC was guidance. It has since been determined to be wholly incorrect and bad for our students. So from this point forward, to make local decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hoyce.
Okay.
That is our, do we have any other slips? Oh, one more.
I did sign. I signed, it doesn't matter, but I signed it out there.
Oh, you signed the guest register?
Yes.
Ah.
Is it okay if I sign
Yeah,
it for a minute?
yep.
I'm Julia Beckman. I'm a former board member. You'd think I'd know how I'm supposed to sign in, but
That's a
Just
new
wanted
process,
to-
Julie.
I just wanted to congratulate the retiring board members. You have done great service over some very difficult years. Nancy, Joanna, Mike, you've done wonderful work for us. I know the newly elected board members will do great work, but we hope that you will sort of be mentors for them, as I've been a mentor for some of you. Just don't run away with all the experience that you've gained. And I'm also here as president of the District 99 Foundation, and there's always room for one more for those of you who don't have anything else to do with your life. So here I am to sign you up, but no, really, congratulations on some great service, and we hope you really won't be strangers. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julia.
All right, did we miss anybody else?
I've got nothing here.
All right.
Okay,
Adjourn?
we need an motion for adjournment, sin die.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry, I'm going to give it to Joanna.
You should.
Mike and Joanna, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned, sin die.
We'll take a short break, and then we will adjourn with the next board meeting.
I believe there's cake.
There is cake. Drunk with power.
Well, I figured they needed it because they're
Thank
not
you
gonna hear
both.
anything. Thank
I'll
you.
see you at
thank you,
graduation.
Thank you. Yes, we get to fight over who gives them their diploma.
Yeah. Thank you, Luca.
Okay, now then, don't I have that sheet
They
of
were
what I need? Ooh, it's got a fancy folder. I want one of those.
Let me get the other board. Yeah, she's in the robe right there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. You couldn't see her from the side you were sitting on.
Yeah.
I've never played, but I want to get into
Pardon?
Already done.
Yeah. I joined as like a
nice.
and
now
then
it's like you fell in love with it.
yeah, so now it's fun.
I did.
right.
I tried soccer in Belt League, and now I'm doing walking soccer because it's just
Yeah,
you can't run
yeah.
as much anymore.
Start to see.
But the walking soccer is really interesting because it's like
And we'll get ready for the oath of office.
so it's pretty cool.
They're so cute. It's so fun.
You get like points off for running.
You can't run, so the minute you run, you have
And they're
to
gonna sit down and go stand right back up again.
And you can't you don't have a goalie, and it's really interesting.
Right back.
There's a lot
The
more
ultimate
running.
frisbee though is
Yeah,
so cool.
but there's a lot of running in ultimate frisbee too.
I know.
It's like
I gotta find a walk.
Sometimes.
All right.
No, they usually
All
just.
right, let's start this meeting. Could we have a roll call, please?
We start with inviting our new
Oh.
board members forward.
That's right, we haven't sworn them in yet. I am so sorry.
Let's invite them forward and their families if
Yes,
they'd like to join
yes,
them.
if any family members are here and would
The oath
like
is
to
You'll want the-
join. their-
You'll want that piece of paper. It's a long oath.
Yeah. You can go with your families.
Come on up here. Yep, just up in here in the middle. That's fine.
Yeah.
There we go. This only happens every couple of years, so it,
So if we make a mistake, don't hold it against us.
and we have Judge.
Leah Sensen.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
All right, so are we doing everyone together?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, very good. Please raise your right hand. I state your name. I, Derek Keston, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of office of member of the Board of Education of Community High School District 99 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability.
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Community High School District 99 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability.
I further swear that
I further swear that
I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets.
I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets.
I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting.
I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting.
I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district.
As a part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district.
I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Community High School District 99.
I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Community High School in District 99.
I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework.
I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework.
I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law.
I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law.
I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students in our community schools to advance the vision for Community High School District 99.
I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students in our community schools to advance the vision for Community High School District 99.
And I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development.
I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development.
Congratulations.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Now we're not, no longer the junior board.
The next board meeting, you have to recite that by memory.
We'll give you a week.
Really?
All right.
Oh,
Okay, now we can.
What did you just said?
Kara Caston.
Here?
Ken Dawson.
Here.
Thank you. Chris Espinoza.
Here.
Sherelle Fuller. Here. Denny Hagstrom.
Here.
Carrie Pavasich.
Here.
Donna Renner.
Here.
Gianna Hunsha.
Here.
And Nayla Mokat.
Here.
Thank you.
Now, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, it comes to our election of officers for the two-year term of this board. So, do I have any nominations for president?
I nominate Don Renner.
Second.
Second. Well, we don't need a second, but that's okay.
This is the one time we don't need a second.
Right down,
Chris and Jenny.
Put it down anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Any other? Okay. Well,
Take the vote.
let's take a vote.
Okay.
Do you want a voice vote, or do we just do a hand vote?
Since there's only one candidate, you can do an.
You can just do a voice.
Okay, let's just
Ayes
do a
and nays.
voice vote. All in favor of Don Renner as our new president? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, Don is our new president. Welcome, Don. Because of that, I
Pass
am
that
now
on over.
turning the gavel over to my
You
left.
don't want to hit it one more time before it
Yeah.
goes? There you go.
Short term,
So we should take nominations for vice president.
yes.
Yeah, Yep.
Can I have a nomination for vice president, please?
I nominate Terry Pavasich.
Thank you.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. Hearing none, then I'd like to now hold a voice vote. All in favor of nominating Terry Pavicic as vice president?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
I am having trouble logging into my Chromebook, so.
Oh, here,
That's
take
what I
mine.
said.
Take mine.
Share, because it's hard to
Okay.
Take mine.
Okay.
It's fine. I'm-
Thanks. We can just figure this
We'll do a little text.
As far as the camera's concerned, I knew what I was doing. Yeah.
I can bring it over to Tony.
I'll tell you this right now.
okay.
I have a thing saved in my notes with all my
CSD99.
right.
You might not be
Save all this, because I never remember.
I haven't tried to sign in.
Send that to me.
And I just remember.
They're mine, but
Oh,
once you
oh,
get it.
once you did it, I got you, I got you.
Every single. It should be on there.
For this one. Tiff, there will be a point where you will sign it again.
We have secretary. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I'll be reaching out to you for more tips.
I don't recommend that anybody take it over Julie, just by the way. If you're looking for an administrative recommendation, I'm telling you, I've seen what she does. You don't want that job.
Good?
Is the one you guys go into.
I then nominate
Can I have a nomination from the floor for office of secretary for D99?
I nominate Julie Nidek.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. Take a voice vote. All in favor of Julie Nidek serving as secretary for District 99, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving to the first reception of visitors, do we have any comments?
Any slips?
No,
No slips.
No slips.
This would have been for action anyway. For this first one, those are our action items.
You get in, you might have to have you change your password, so I'm not sure if we can do it.
All right, we're good.
All right, let's establish them.
If I get to make it.
That's right.
You want me to handle this, or? So item 6 of the agenda, establishing 2023-2024 recommended Board of Education meeting dates and times.
We have a slip there that has it. I think somewhere.
Yes, number 6. I'm going to need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the 2023 to 2024 recommended Board of Education meeting dates and times.
So moved.
So Chris moved, and do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Dawson.
Thank you very much. Chris Espinoza.
Aye.
Ken Dawson.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Terry Pavicic.
Aye.
Kara Caston.
Aye.
Don Renner.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving to item number 7 of the agenda, appointment of board committee and liaisons. Given that I don't think we've had any discussions up to this point, I think it would be prudent for each of the board members to send me an email before the next board meeting with their requested committee assignments. Certainly think we should give deference to seniority and also for those board members who are currently serving on existing committees, just to take advantage of their experience and history on those committees.
And just to review, currently on these committees, Sherelle is currently serving on policy committee. Chris is currently the representative to IASB. SACID governing board, the structure of that changed. I will go to the majority of the meetings, but this is for the operations board. This is the governing board. That will meet 2 to 4 times a year now, instead of it being a monthly meeting. Representative to lend has been Jenny up to this point. District Education Foundation has been Terry. And then Downers Grove Plan Commission, we're not up this year, right? It's the next year we're up?
Correct.
So we alternate between District 58 and 99 for that committee position. This year it's District 58. It was Mike serving in that role, so.
So do we need a board member serving on SACID, or am I hearing that you will serve as the representative for District 99?
We still need a board member to serve. So there's a operational structure and a governance structure now. I will serve as by law, as the superintendent, I need to serve as the operational member. And then there's a governance member that serves much like being on this board, where you're setting vision and accountability and those kinds of things, but for the SACID organization. That'll be like a quarterly meeting.
Can I ask a question? Can we only have one board member serving on each board, or is there only enough committees for board members?
That's a great question. So policy is 2 board members. The rest have traditionally been 1.
Okay.
They don't have to be, but you can't go more than 2. Otherwise, it becomes an official board meeting when they're.
But if there's someone who's on a committee that wants to stay on the committee, there could be a second person on it?
It's up to the board president at that point.
Okay. Okay.
Cheryl says policy is wide open.
Would you mind explaining the policy committee's role for the new board members?
Sure. So policy committee is probably it's one of the heavier commitments of being on the board, because 2 to 4 times a year we receive updates from the Illinois Association of School Boards. I almost said ISB. I gave you the non-acronym. They release 2 to 4 times a year an update of recommended changes to policies, generally due to review of those policies or because of changes in state or federal law. When that packet of information comes to us, Julie does a great amount of preparation that then goes to the administrative team. We then take the recommended changes to the policy committee, those 2 board members. We have a meeting that the public is invited to where we discuss those recommended changes. We mark up any recommendations, and then it goes to the board then for first reading of those recommendations. At that point, the whole board has access to all of that information. The whole board can provide feedback over the next month to either the administrative team or to the 2 members of a policy committee. We mark up those changes and bring them typically for final approval at the next board meeting. So if you're on that committee, you're at least 2 to 4 meetings a month that you're meeting outside of, or not a month, a year, where you are meeting, woo, that got real busy. Where you're meeting outside of this meeting to review that. It is a lot of reading. It is a lot of material to read through. We will do our best to make it so that it's digestible and understandable. But it's a good amount of content. But that committee is really important to the operation of the school district, as the policies serve as the laws of the school district. So when we are trying to figure out what to do administratively, the first thing we refer to are those board policies, because those don't even guide our work. Those are the must-do things of our work. How'd I do, Don?
That's great. Thank you, Dr. Thiele. Appreciate it.
I guess the other, you asked for kind of work. ISB Governing Board, Chris, it's a couple of meetings a year. It's
very low effort, low intensity. You serve as the representative at the convention in November. That meeting itself usually takes 4-ish hours, depending on if there's debate. Which it's an interesting experience to be there in a room with all the other delegates from other school boards around the state. But yeah, it's not as intense as the policy committee.
And the lead up to that, is preparing, reading through all the recommended. You're serving as kind of the policy committee in some ways for the state organization, right? So whoever's in that role takes those recommended changes that are going to come at that delegate meeting, reviews them, brings them to this board as to should we be voting those up or down, because we get one vote as a school district in that room of all of the 850 other school districts in the state. So Chris has a lot of work to do in November to prepare for that, but then once that one is done, it's just attending kind of the division meetings. Yeah, for DuPage. We talked about SACID. LEND is pretty much a monthly meeting, sometimes more when the legislation is in session, yeah. Some are virtual, some are in person. And then Jenny does a great job of taking notes about all the legislation and changes that are being proposed and reporting back out, summarizing those back out to the board. And that's it.
And I'm going to be taking over Nancy's role on the executive committee
Oh,
for
all right.
Lend.
Oh, congratulations.
Okay, any questions on committee assignments? Okay. Moving to item number 8 on the agenda, recommendations and reports of the superintendent.
The first one is District Auditor Services. I don't know who has this, Jerry or Mark?
Yeah, I will. So we asked Miller Cooper, our auditing firm, to provide us with a 3-year cost proposal for the fiscal years of 2023, 2024, and 2025. Their proposal reflects a $2,000 increase for each of those 3 years. It's nominal. We are very pleased with the level of service that we receive from Miller Cooper. In addition to conducting the annual audit, they also serve as a valuable resource to us throughout the year with many different types of accounting advice. So we recommend that the board accepts the 3-year cost proposal from Miller Cooper.
Any questions for Jerry or Mark? All right, this shows up as an action item later on this evening. The next one is English Department novels, and this one is Jerry's as well.
All right, we've been going out to bid for our English novels for, Maria, you're here, what do you say, about 6 years now?
I think it was maybe my second year in the district, so probably 6 years. Yeah.
This year, we had 11 vendors that responded to our English novel bid. The lowest bid was from BookSource, and that bid was in the amount of a little over $107,000. However, they did not bid on 76 titles. There's 148 titles in the bid. So it's a non-responsive, really, bid.
Yeah.
The next lowest bid was from BookPal in the amount of $122,598.04. They just had one title that they did not bid on. BookPal has been awarded the English novel bid 3 times in the past few years. They've provided us with excellent service, and they are the lowest bid, so we recommend that we go with BookPal.
Now, what about the one that they didn't bid on? Will they
It's
eventually
actually-
get to that?
I think it's out of print. No one
Oh.
bid on it.
Oh, okay, all right. So what do we do when they're out of print then?
And the teachers have to find another novel.
Find it.
Yeah.
Okay, I just thought I'd
No,
ask.
it's a great
Sure,
question.
yeah.
Because.
Yeah.
I have a question about the no bid on the 76 titles. Is it they can get the titles or they missed something? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I believe this is the same company that's bid a couple of times, and they usually bid about half of the titles, so I just don't think they can fulfill the order.
Oh, well, then we'd rather not go with them. If they can't fill the order.
I'm just curious if it's a way of bidding, if that's how they miss it, but, okay, thank you.
Bless you.
All right, any other questions for Jerry? All right, our next one is the Illinois State Board of Education Consolidated District Plan. For our new board members, this comes every year at this time, May or June. Gina does a lot of work leading up into this, and she's going to walk you through some of this.
So as Dr. Thiele said, every year we are required to submit a consolidated district plan. This is actually our 5th year. So this came around about 5 years ago. And it's a very comprehensive plan in that it basically covers our EL grants, our title grants, so like Title I, and it covers IDEA, special education, and also now the ESSER grants. So these are the grants that the plan must encompass. In that sense, it also is very comprehensive in the sense that we are required to show in the grant how we're using funds relative to these grants, and there are a series of questions that we need to address. Some specific about specific grants, some of the questions are more general. So to go over these grants so that you know basically how they work, Title I is based on poverty level. Only South High School receives Title I funding. North does not qualify. Title II is used for professional development at both campuses. Title III, both Title IIIs, I should say, LIEP, which is our Language Instruction Education Program Grant, and the Immigrant Student Education Grant, both are for EL students, English learners. They are used to support our bilingual and EL program. Title IV is a relatively new grant. It is used for well-rounded education. It is by far my favorite grant because we are able to provide all kinds of resources through that grant for our students. There's IDEA, which relates obviously to special education, and then the ESSER ARP, which is the American Rescue Plan grant coming out of the pandemic. So those are the grants that this plan encompasses. So part of this plan requires what's called a comprehensive needs assessment, and it requires that we look at data. Certainly, the board has seen data before, and we look at data all the time. But we look specifically, when we're working on this plan, at these different data sets. And we don't just look at our all numbers, meaning all students, what is the average, for example, of all students, but we also look at various subgroups of students. 9th grade on track is basically looking at our freshmen, our 9th grade students, and whether or not they have earned 5 credits and have not failed more than 1 semester of a core content area. We have been looking at that data, those data sets for years. So we continue to look at that one. We also look at graduation rates, focusing more on the 4-year graduation rate than the 5 or 6, but we do look at all 3. We have been looking this year extensively, even at Executive Council on a regular basis, at our first semester failure rates. Second semester hasn't finished yet, so obviously we looked at first semester, and SAT scores. With the exception of the first semester failure rates, we are pretty much looking a year in the rear, and we use the state report card as well as local data sets in our review. And as you go through the needs assessment, we're looking for what interventions we have in place, how those interventions are working, any new interventions or resources that we can put in place. So the Consolidated District Plan focuses on these major headings: student achievement and graduation, which is appropriate since that's something that we've really been focused on, professional development, special education, youth in care, which used to be called foster care. Now the state refers to students in foster care as youth in care, and we write a stability plan related to that. Safe learning environment, college and career readiness. It focuses a lot on Title I, and there's specific questions we must address for that, as well as our bilingual service plan, which this is actually the first year that the bilingual service plan is embedded in the Consolidated District Plan. In the past, it's been a separate plan that I've had to write, but now it's encompassing it as well. So I was actually very excited to see that, because you're able to reference different parts of it throughout the other areas. So I'm going to try and give you key highlights and summarize the different areas. So the first area is student achievement and timely graduation. This is really talking about what is your curricular program. So for example, we have over 200 courses. We have 27 advanced placement, 10 dual credit courses, 2 dual enrollment courses. You've heard about Project Lead the Way at various times. We have the complete engineering strand. We also have the biomedical sciences PLTW. We have an English learner EL program as well as a bilingual program. So we have both programs now at both campuses. Our bilingual program is Spanish. We have obviously special education supports, and one thing that I'm really excited about that is included in the plan and that we reference is the seal of biliteracy and the commendation toward biliteracy. We adopted and really promote programming around the seal of biliteracy for about the past 4 or 5 years. What that essentially is, it's awarded by the state of Illinois, and students who can demonstrate proficiency both in English, typically through an SAT score, sometimes it's an AP language score, an access score, as well as a foreign language. That could be an AP Spanish, French, German, test score. We also administer the Apple test and stamp test, can actually earn the seal of biliteracy or the commendation. The seal is the higher of the two levels, so that means that you are proficient in both levels. Commendation means you're working towards proficiency, so a commendation toward biliteracy. And I share that with you because I'm really excited about that. In the state of Illinois, if a student earns the seal of biliteracy and attends a public university, so a state university, that school is required to give them college credit for that.
Wow.
There's a whole process for that, the way the law reads, but essentially, many students get at least 8 hours worth of credit. There are other states that honor it as well, but it's here and there. I cannot say for sure, oh, it will be honored in, any state school in Wisconsin or Indiana or something like that. To my knowledge, there's only one school that awards credit for commendation toward biliteracy, and there are some private colleges and universities that award credit as well. So I wanted to share that with you. That's something that we've embedded in the plan now, especially relative to the bilingual service plan being in there. So to get.
And if, sorry. If a student doesn't get credit, many times they're allowed to skip a level, right, in advance in that, and you skipped over TCD?
I'm coming back, hang on.
No.
Let me finish seal by letters for
All
just a
right.
second. Okay, so to give you an example.
I shouldn't interrupt you.
I'm
now.
there. I know I
don't
went
know
out
what
of
I'm
order.
doing.
I got too
You
excited.
threw me off.
I
I'm
got
like,
too
I thought you did
excited.
it by accident.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know you were being intentional.
We are literally still testing, so I cannot give you data on this year yet. Also, AP scores don't come in until usually like mid-July. But last year, we had 62 students earn the seal of biliteracy and 47 earn the commendation. Our 5-year average is 51 on the seal and 50 for the commendation. So really excited about that. And that's something we've really been promoting. We've opened it up. We're now issuing it in Polish and Mandarin, a host of different languages. So something really exciting. As Dr. Thea pointed out, I skipped
sorry.
Technology Center
I'm
DuPage.
sorry. I should have just
But
known
I'm
that you
also
were-
Can I ask you
really.
a quick question?
Yes.
So regardless of the language, if you went to a state university, you'd still get regardless of the language?
And not only could you get credit, but you can also, as Dr. Thiele said, be placed
good.
on a higher level if you want to continue in that pathway. Technology Center DuPage. So we are really excited. A year ago, or roughly a year ago, I shared with the board that we were at the highest number of students for this year attending TCD in more than well over a decade. And I'm excited to say that that's continuing. So we are seeing a huge number of students. In some cases, we had to put students on a wait list. And then as we work through things, we were able to add more students to the list. And that is true, by the way, of many DuPage high schools as I work with my colleagues in the area. But very few of them have seen the increase that we're seeing. So I'm very proud of that as well.
And on that same thing, I think it would be a really good idea for us as a board to take a field trip to TCD because it is such a phenomenal place.
It is phenomenal.
I don't know how many of you have ever been there, but it is well worth the trip to go and see all of the different technologies that they provide. So I don't know if that could be something.
Open house.
They have an open house in the fall.
Okay.
I go every year as a DEOS. DEOS is the governing board of Technology Center DuPage. As a board member, I go every year, but certainly we can
Invite them. Yeah.
invite the board
Yeah.
to attend. It is phenomenal. In fact, I did some professional development in the summers pre-pandemic. It was called Building Bridges for Teachers. And we toured various companies, but one year we toured TCD, and the feedback I received was that was by far the best tour of the 4 or 5 that we did that summer.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but when I was first on the board, back when the dinosaurs were walking the earth, we all went up there for a tour of TCD, and it really impressed me as a place that our students would really get a lot out of. And so I think sometimes if we all went, you would understand, what Gina is talking about.
And there's a lot of programs there
So many.
that might actually surprise some people, like fire science and cosmetology, culinary, and programs where students earn a substantial amount of dual credit. I mean, they're dual credit. A lot of students will obviously graduate from District 99, have started their studies there at TCD. They go for roughly half the day and continue. Many go to a four-year school, sure. Some go to COD and continue their studies.
Or they can go into an apprenticeship course with
Trades.
the trade that they have chosen. So
Absolutely.
it's very worthwhile, so.
It's a phenomenal
It
program.
also sounds like we do a good job of promoting that, because if we are seeing the increase, and it's not being seen as so much across other high schools, we have to be doing a good job
Like,
of letting people know how great it is.
And I think that's part of the work that we've been doing in terms of like career pathways.
I love
And-
that.
And the board adopting our internship course several years ago. So we've really kind of tried to focus, and I think students are really responding
Yeah, they're
to
reaping the
that.
benefits of that
They absolutely are.
program. Yeah.
It's a great program.
And that's what we want.
Yeah, and we've seen a big shift in the community of being receptive to the, like, when I got here almost 8 years ago, there was a real reluctance of some families to engage in alternative pathways that weren't a four-year plan, right? And people have come along. Like, we've seen the rising cost of colleges, we've seen that, every kid has a different path towards success. I was doing interviews with students the other day, practicing interviews. It was very interesting. In the group of students I had a four-year college student going to an elite university. I had somebody going into the armed forces, and I had somebody that was going right into the world of work and expected to own his own business within a year, and was on a pathway to doing that. So it was just, and it was just success in three different ways, and it was so exciting to see, like, the impressiveness of our students in each of those career kind of pathways.
I love that, because I know one of the things we talked about maybe 2 years ago is that success doesn't look like the same path for everyone.
That's right.
So everyone that leaves our school systems, we want them to know that there is success. They can carve out their way, their own path, and be successful. So.
Gina, I remember being a new board member a while ago in my first couple of meetings and, listening to these presentations and thinking, what's going on? What language are they speaking? Can you talk a little bit about just the number of AP courses that we have at District 99? I know there was a lot of work when I was on the board previously to improve the offerings. Can you talk a little bit about that for the new board members? And maybe also touch on what dual enrollment actually means for the new board members.
Sure. So we have 27 advanced placement courses. Advanced placement, we refer to it as AP. And these are courses, and we have them across content areas. These are courses that are taught really at a college level content. So very much like an entry level college course. There are guidelines provided by the College Board. The College Board oversees AP, oversees advanced placement, and students take an exam in May. So we just finished up last week. It's always the first 2 full.
Too
You know what
soon?
I'm talking about.
It's still painful.
Yeah, you can see that.
So the exams are given the first 2 full weeks of May. The dates are set by the College Board. Students can earn a score up to 5, and depending on what college or university they're going to, they may earn college credit. It also can very much depend on what their major is. So it is dependent on that score, the school that they're going to, and the major that they have selected. So dual credit is a little bit different. Dual credit, we currently have 10 courses. We are certainly working on dual credit. It has been a challenge for us, but we continue to work towards dual credit. I think a few years ago we were at 4, if I remember correctly. We have dual credit in For example, we have a lot of dual credit in CTE. We even have some in PE, which was really excited.
CTE, define it.
Career, thank you. Sorry. Career and technical education. So we have, for example, some courses like AP Computer Science, Advanced Placement, Computer Science, that are both dual credit and AP. Therefore, dual credit is based on how the student does over the entire course, whether it's a semester, some of ours are some are year-long courses. And that dual credit for our courses is through College of DuPage. And so students they can transfer that credit to whatever school they go to. So it's not based on one test one day, it's based on performance over the course of that course, whether it's a semester or whether it is a year-long course.
And that's the school has to be willing to take that.
So it does vary. So there is an articulation agreement with over like 100 schools in the state of Illinois. So some courses are pretty much accepted, but you are correct. There is some of that. However, we have found huge success with dual credit courses counting. Whereas we've seen success with AP too. Don't get me wrong, I used to teach AP US History a long time ago. But it is very dependent. So for example, if you're going to be a science major, some schools will not accept AP science courses. I learned that from my own job.
Yeah.
So it just varies on
Dual
your
credit.
major. But dual credit, they would have accepted.
Because you're building a college transcript.
You're basically leaving school with a transcript,
Yeah.
as opposed to just a test score.
Another thing that's
sorry, go ahead.
to us with the increase in college costs.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes.
And, go ahead.
I was just going to say that it is free to the dual credit courses are free to our students. So they do not pay any tuition.
Now, AP,
To COD.
Extra tuition.
Right.
They
AP, they have to pay for the test.
and AP, a 3 or better, does become college credit in a Illinois public institution.
Yes, that is the
Doesn't
law.
necessarily count towards your major,
Right.
but it has to be accepted
But-
as college credit.
And they could count it as elective credit, for example.
And are those tests all around the same cost? I don't.
Yeah, $98?
Almost
Okay.
$100.
101.
I don't know, I paid for a bunch of them this year, but I
It's,
signed
the
the
price is a
check.
little every year.
Gotta be kidding me.
Did
And we
she
do
comment
have-
on it? Yeah.
We have students who will take 5 or 6.
I took 4, it was expensive.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So dual credit courses are taught by our teachers, taught by the high school teacher, even though the content is at the college level. Dual enrollment is different. Dual enrollment means that the student is obviously dually enrolled, meaning enrolled in high school and enrolled at the college or university. The teacher of the course is the professor at the university. We don't have a high school teacher teaching that course. It is solely taught by that professor at the university. We have currently 2 dual enrollment opportunities for our students. One is Calculus 3, which is taught in the fall, so first semester, and that is through our partnership with Elmhurst University. So it's taught completely by an Elmhurst professor. Students do pay a small amount as tuition is required for that. The other dual enrollment opportunity is through Benedictine, and this one we've been doing longer. Our Calc 3 used to be with North Central, we transitioned to Elmhurst. We also have an astronomy course, dual enrollment with Benedictine. That is a completely online course that we typically offer second semester. And there is tuition to be paid for that as well. It's very reduced. It's, in both cases, extremely reduced tuition. But there is a cost for the tuition. Again, student earns a transcript, a college transcript. So you can have a student who leaves us with AP, hopefully a 3, 4, 5, right? One of our dual credit courses, so they have a transcript from COD. Calc 3, a transcript from Elmhurst. Astronomy, a transcript from Benedictine. We do have a few other different situations where we might have a student who dually enrolls, and they attend a class, for example, at COD, so they might get out a little bit early or take a night class or an online course, but that's separate and that's just one individual student. These are, when I say dual enrollment opportunities, those are the ones that we offer to students. Now, there can be prerequisites. Obviously, you have to take Calc BC to be able to take and be prepared for Calculus 3. But we offer it to students who are eligible.
Thank you, Jen.
Does that help?
And I will sing Gina's praises here. This has been a board goal. Every year that I have been superintendent here, and every year Gina has increased the opportunities in one of these areas, or in all of them sometimes. So she's done great work in this
You
area.
have, thank you.
That's
Thank
great.
you. The one I'm most excited about, though, which I forgot to mention, but I'm going to, because I'm most excited, is our dual credit speech that the board approved, and we have running next year at both campuses. That's really exciting. Most universities do require a speech course. So that's really exciting. All right, I think I went through all of those, right? Got too excited. Okay, so in addition, in the plan, we need to reference and talk about different interventions, different supports, and different resources that we offer our students. It could be select groups of students. It could be, in some cases, all students, or it can be programmatic in nature. And this is not an exhaustive list. If you look at the summary, which is in the board docs, there will be things in the summary that are not mentioned here. I'll pick a few to go over, but if you have questions, I can explain the other ones as well. And I'm just going to pick a few that you may or may not be familiar with, a few that hopefully you'll be able to see what group of students it might serve. Okay? So we have a summer bridge program. The summer bridge program is for basically incoming ninth graders, incoming freshmen, who could use a little bit of support in reading and math. We offer that program free of charge to students. It's an invitation-only type of program, and I use Title I funding for the most part to pay for that program. We talked a little bit about AP. We found that some of our students could use a little help and perhaps a little bit of enrichment over the summer. We have run different AP Summer Bridge programs. This summer, we are running our AP Chemistry Summer Bridge, and that has run for years now. So that's one that we're really excited about. Read 180 and Strategies for Academic Success are reading courses. Read 180 focuses a lot more in the special education realm than in general education, whereas Strategies for Academic Success tends to be more general education students than special education students. You may have heard that we have Math S classes. That means extended time. So it's like a period and a half for students who need that additional support. We also have a transition math class. A transition math class is to really ensure, it's a fourth-year math class for seniors, to really ensure that students are ready to go into credit-bearing math courses in college. And we are part of that, along with other schools in the county, through coordination with COD. We call that course PQL, or Preparation for Quantitative Literacy. So really excited about that. That is one of the indicators to be college and career ready. So that's the reason I pointed that one out. We have many different personnel that are funded through our grants, including we have a math specialist at South High School. We have interventionists at both campuses, typically two at South and one at North. And we also have an AVID program, which I'm excited to say, it's really a college prep program, but it has really started to morph a little bit and support even beyond that. So we have students, for example, in AVID who will go into the military. We have students that will go to COD, a 2-year school, as opposed to a 4-year. When AVID started with us, and obviously AVID before it is, it's nationwide and really it's international, there are other countries as well. It was really focused on the 4-year university, and it has morphed over time, and I'm really proud of that as it's supporting students in several different paths. We also have Wi-Fi hotspots, and we still do. This is something that we have offered in District 99 since we rolled out one-to-one many years ago. That was one of the things that was, for me, really, really important, that our students whose families do not have internet at home would be able to have a hotspot that they can take home to do schoolwork. So this is way before the pandemic hit. But we have continued that, and that really served us well, obviously, during the pandemic.
Actually, District 99 was recognized when I first got here by members of Congress as like the first school in the country that guaranteed that every student had internet access at home. So we led the way in that in a lot of ways.
A couple of other things that's up there that are newer. Obviously, we have an access period built in on Wednesday and Thursdays, and we have different lessons that we lead, like on executive functioning, social emotional learning, so on and so forth through access. And then also our resource, which students would only have one resource period a week. It's basically when their lunch period is, their regular lunch period on Monday, Tuesday, Friday, when it rolls into the block day. And we have all kinds of programming that we provide during resource and will continue to provide, and some new opportunities during resource as well. Certainly did not go over all of them, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you're wondering about anything specific. All right. A couple of things that are new or newer that are interventions that I reference in the CDP, the Consolidated District Plan, is that we'll be moving to a full-time path coordinator at each campus. That's really exciting as they work with students in that intervention. Our PATH program is our, thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
Our PATH program is our in-school intervention program. So rather than suspending a student outside of school, they would attend PATH. There's lessons, there's work that they do with the coordinator and with the ISI in-school intervention supervisors to basically realize what they've done, how they can improve, how they can move forward.
And there's check-ins after they've, made it past the discipline piece. Our team continues to check in to make sure that there isn't any recidivism around that behavior that we're trying to correct.
And we've only had a part-time program at each campus. So next year, the board approved the FTE to have a full-time program at both campuses. So that's why I listed it. PATH is already in the CDB from a couple of years ago, but now we're moving it to being a full-time program. We are also planning to offer an SAT prep class during resource next year. The SAT is a college entrance exam that all juniors take in April, typically in April. Next year's a little different. We have a window versus a date, but it's typically taken in April. It's obviously important that students do well on the exam, depending on what schools they plan to apply to. So we'll be providing an SAT prep class to students that they can enroll in that will occur during resource, and that will also be free of charge to students. It'll focus on both, I'm sorry.
Will that be taught by an outside source, or will that be taught by existing teachers?
We posted, it will not be taught by our current teachers, but we posted the positions, I should say, and we'll obviously be interviewing as well. And we're looking, obviously, for someone who has experience in that area.
Do you think that'll have any impact on our overall SAT scores as a district?
I believe it will, and I also am excited about it because I think we really need to focus on certain groups. As I said when we first started this presentation, we de-aggregate the data to look at different groups, and we see, for example, that our EL students sometimes don't perform at the same level, so we can really invite and encourage and promote it with certain families and certain students to hopefully bring them greater resources. Not every student can necessarily afford or even have the time for outside tutoring. So that's something that we're going to bring in. Some of you may know that I'm showing how long I've been in the district, but more than 11 years ago, we started a program which was when it was PSAE. So it was ACT and then the work keys on day 2. And we had a PSAE prep program. That was actually taught by our teachers. And I had a couple of teachers at each campus who taught the courses. We may certainly reach out to some of them to help with the planning of the course. So, because some of them have gone on not just to do ACT tutoring, even outside, but to do SAT tutoring. So we have some really great people internally that we can have.
The challenge is
input.
our teachers are,
teaching.
they're teaching or
Yeah.
engaging
They're
in
already-
professional learning during that resource time, so. But Don, to your point, there is a very strong correlation between families' economics and SAT scores. Part of that strong correlation is because families with resources can pay for SAT prep programs, have time outside of the school day, have transportation to those things. So creating this opportunity during resource makes it accessible in every way to every one of our students in a way that's kind of unique in the fact that we have a schedule that allows for that.
And I think I asked this last time, so apologies if I did. What, you mentioned we're gonna reach out to certain people, because just kind of being able to determine who will have access, I would think, for free. I was a parent that
All
paid for
students
this
for
stuff.
free.
All
Yeah.
students will
I
have
know,
access.
but I was saying, I was a parent that paid for this, so I would think that all students, a lot of students would be interested in this.
I think we do.
So, how are, you mentioned we're gonna reach out to some people that we would give special, I don't want to use the word special, but have an opportunity to take advantage of this first. And then, I'm just wondering how we're gonna control the amount of people that could be interested in this.
So it will be open to all students, and we anticipate about 900 seats.
Okay.
So when you consider, we have probably under 1,200, but that counts students who are outplaced, that counts students who don't necessarily have a lunch period because it's being offered during resource. So for example, we have approximately 170 to 180 students who'll be going to TCD next year. Typically, those students don't have a regular lunch period because half their day is spent at TCD. They have to come back, or sometimes they go in the afternoon, it just depends. So they don't necessarily have a lunch. Now, not all 170 or 180 are juniors because we send juniors and seniors, but that's a number of students as well. We have some students who just do not have a lunch period. While we don't necessarily encourage that, that does happen. So we're very excited to have about 900 seats for students. And as we have different groups of students, like I'm really hoping that we can promote this with our REL students, our English learners, because oftentimes when we've even pulled different groups of students, and last I checked, about 250 English learners in the district.
Yeah.
That's a significant number. In fact, we've had so many join us this year, and we always get some students that obviously register late. We've had so many this year that we were able to get that immigrant education grant. It's based on an increase, and we've only received it a couple of times. So we have had, so I'm hopeful that we can reach out to different groups, encourage it. I attend, for example, our bilingual parent advisory group. We just actually talked about this on Thursday, and hoping to promote it for families and for those students.
So if I'm hearing this right, if we have about 250 English learners and we have about 900 seats, more than everybody will have an opportunity.
But it's only open to juniors. It's for
Okay.
juniors, because remember the SAT is taken in.
That's right.
So we have less
Junior
than
year.
250 juniors that are English learners.
Got it.
Now,
This is good.
does the AVID program, they offer this for their students already, don't they?
So there are test-taking strategies built into the AVID program. However, that would not preclude an AVID student from taking this. And in fact, I would encourage them to. In fact, I just this morning met with one of our coordinators, our South High coordinator, and shared information about that, about the SAT prep class, and she was very excited about it.
Yeah, because I was going to say that really fits into
Absolutely.
their program, without any question.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, yeah.
And Ryan has structured this in such a way where English is separate from math. So we expect that there will be some students that will just pick one subject area or the other
okay.
and not attend both, right? So
Yeah.
that kind of stretches out the number of seats as well.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
And this year, our sophomores, remember during the pandemic, there were different years of testing did or did not occur, certain years, but they took the PSAT 10. So we will get those scores this summer. That will also be an indicator where some students we might want to encourage.
It'd be interesting to see if a student took a PSAT as a sophomore, they take our SAT prep courses in school, and you see a dramatic rise in their test scores. I mean, that might be a quantitative assessment that shows that this program is
Yes.
actually having a true impact on our students.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the data.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So one of the other, and I know I've said this year after year, but it continues, we have expanded our English, our EL English learner offerings, courses. We have, the board approved a new civics course for EL learners, which is running next year. We have in, more recent years, we've been able to do what's called push and support. So where we have an EL teacher that goes into different classes to support students, small groups of students in those classes. So that continues and is one newer intervention and support. So professional development, there's a whole segment of the Consolidated District Plan that talks about professional development. It's also woven into almost all the other areas. So if you look at the summary, you'll see it coming up several times, and that's why. Again, this is not meant to be an exhaustive list. A couple things I will mention, though, that I'm really excited about. We're rolling out a new program called Elevation, and that program is for English learners. It is a program that will assist us as we work with families in terms of like translation, and not just all the required documents, because there's law on what needs to be shared with EL families, but we can also use it to enrich and even beyond that. It will also help us because after a student exits our program, an English learner can exit the program by getting a score on the access test that shows that they're proficient in English. We do monitor them for a couple of years after that, and this program will help with that monitoring. Really excited about that program, and we're going to be working with our faculty on the program, how to use the program, what that looks like when you're sharing information about how a student is doing in your class, why you would be sending that information because the student's on consult and just graduated out of EL. So really excited about that. I know our personalized professional learning is something that's not new at all. We've been doing it for several years now, but that was something that was rolled out this year, more second semester, as we spent a lot of time in first semester on, for example, working in the hybrid block and whatnot. And I just attended the PD sessions last week. It was really interesting to hear teachers talk about what they did for what we call PPL, personalized professional learning. We continue to offer best practices, training. We have coaching, and much of that goes through our coaches. We still offer SEED, and we still send teachers, not as much perhaps as before the pandemic, but we still do have teachers who are going to different trainings and workshops, and those are focused on a variety of topics. And then we specifically send, for example, there are a couple of conferences every year for EL teachers. Another section relates to IDEA for special education. A lot of those funds are used to support our aides, whether they are one-on-one working with individual students with special needs. We do all kinds of professional development. And Scott really works with our teachers and our support staff that work with special education students in that area. So much of that section talks about professional development and how we use funding. The Youth and Care Stability Plan used to be called the Foster Care Plan. It pretty much is the same plan. It just changed names. And we provide support to youth in care in a variety of different ways. Much of it is very individualized because each student's need could be very different. And our Counseling and Student Support Services Department definitely works with any students that we have who might be a youth in care. So those are very unique needs, and it depends on the students. We do provide, in some cases, special transportation if the students cannot get to and from with our regular bus routes. It used to be called a transportation plan, which is why transportation is a huge component of it. There's a section about safe learning environment where it asks about all the different programs that we might have in place to assist and ensure that our campuses are safe. And so these are just some of them. Positively North and Mustang Way you may have heard about. Those programs have been going strong for more than a decade. I mentioned already SEED and some of our equity and inclusion work. We also have a Spanish-speaking homeschool liaison. This was a part-time position that we started about 5 or 6 years ago. And it was part-time just to serve North High School. I was able to fund it the first year out of our immigrant grant and then was able to braid funding with multiple resources and multiple grants. At South, for years, we've had bilingual facilitators, but as our number has increased of EL students, of our bilingual Spanish-speaking students, we now employ the Spanish-speaking homeschool liaison full-time and between both buildings. So that is something that's really expanded in the last year or so. We obviously have curriculum that comes out of our counseling and student support services. You may have heard of the Focus program at South High School or Discover You at North High School. We also use a program, an online program called Naviance that you may have heard of. We will continue to use Naviance next year, but we're actually planning or hoping to transition to Schoolings, which is similar to Naviance, provides greater resources, a lot more in terms of college and career readiness, a lot more in terms of those indicators under ESSA. So we are looking at transitioning. Many schools in the area have already transitioned to Schoolings, but we will continue for next year to use Naviance.
For our seniors, upcoming seniors.
We're actually going to have Naviance for all of them, but we'll use it exclusively for seniors. We do lessons in different areas about bullying, anti-bullying, and harassment. We have student assistance coordinators. We learned a lot about that. It was at the last board meeting, I believe. We have some SEL lessons through our Access, for example, through our Access period. And then we already talked about the PATH program. They use a curriculum called Why Try. So these are just a few.
This evening you heard about Safe to Help. That's another program that helps with our safe learning environment, allowing anonymous reports, or not so anonymous reports, of things that students have concerns about. Question was raised by a community member today as to why we are using it. If we weren't using it, it's provided by the state at no cost. If we weren't interfacing with it, students would still have the opportunity to report to that, but it would bypass us and go straight to the local police and resources. So by us intersecting with it, then our CSSS staff, our counseling student support staff, and our administration team has the opportunity to serve as a resource in responding to those moments of crisis rather than being on the outside of that looking in. So a lot of times our trained professional staff is critical in making sure that a student is responded to appropriately and with the right level of care, where if we were on the outside looking in on this process, our students wouldn't be served as well.
Which they would be closest to the student than having
Correct.
some, so that's an extra layer of support is how I see it.
Right, but a student would be able to access that whether we were interfacing with it or not, because it's a state level program.
Is that recent that we're interfacing? Is that what you said?
Scott, when did we move?
Our second year.
Second year.
Yeah. We used to have a different system that we used that was, we would have to do the handoff manually to local police, ambulance, those kinds of things. Now the way that the Safe to Help program is set up is that if we are unable to respond, so something comes in at 2 a.m, we don't see it, if they're unable to make contact with us, it immediately turns over to the emergency service personnel, and they're able to step in immediately, which the stress on our team under the old system, like everybody did not want to miss something even if it was the middle of the night, which put a lot of pressure on our administrative team and our counseling team. Now, at least we know if we're unable to see that, if we're offline, if somebody's on vacation, those kinds of things, it will pass off to somebody else who can intercede on our behalf.
Currently, how much usage is that program receiving?
Scott, you're better.
I mean, we have, I think we're around 60 to 70 reports this year so far.
That's a pretty good number.
Yeah, it's pretty typical for the last 2 years and.
Even
yeah.
before that.
Yeah.
So another section of the plan is called College and Career Ready, and it's really, is truly College and Career Ready. So in that section, we talk about, and I just listed, again, this is not an exhaustive list, but some of the things that we do to ensure that the transition, not just from middle or junior high school to high school is smooth, but also that transition from high school to whether it's college, whether it's trade school, whether it is a 4 or 2 year, whether it's work, the world of work. So that section asks a series of questions where several of these things are pointed out. And so a lot of it's really important in terms of us working with our sender schools, our partner schools, in other words, the junior highs and middle schools, to ensure that students are placed appropriately from the start, to make sure that we have resources for those students who need various resources, so that course recommendations are really for the right level for the student. We really want students to take the most rigorous courses. So that process is really important. We are back to doing more articulation now after the pandemic, face-to-face. A lot of that was occurring either virtually or electronically through information being shared. But we have a very well-vetted recommendation process from 8th grade to 9th grade. You may be familiar with our Saturday registration day, which is usually the end of January. And then we also have an orientation night, which that is usually in January as well. Oftentimes falls on our board meeting night. Newer things, not necessarily new because we were doing them this year, but newer things include our access lessons, which do focus on a lot of things related to college and career readiness. Also, our counselors provide lessons during that time, many of those relating to college and career readiness. Also, our resource programming, bringing in guest speakers, exposing students to the trades, military, those kinds of things. And then we talk in the plan about our high school post-secondary planning and some of the relationships that we form, some of which I've already mentioned. But we even have some other relationships. For example, we have a program that's unique to District 99 with Benedictine, where students take a certain series of courses with us and earn particular grades. They do not have to take placement tests if they're going to Benedictine. So we've tried to work with schools in the area that our students go to provide that transition to be smooth and not necessarily reliant on one test one day. Another part of the plan, and this is really an extensive part of the plan, is how we use our Title I funding. And remember, I said Title I is only South High School, so we can only use those funds for South High School students. We allocate a large percentage of it on transportation, particularly to students that are considered homeless students under McKinney-Vento. We also fund our Read 180 program and AVID. A lot of our AVID is funded, the membership, supplies for AVID. I hire tutors for the AVID program. Their salaries are paid through Title I. We have, as I said, a couple of interventionists. At least one of those is paid through Title I. We have a math specialist. We've actually had the same math specialist now for over 3 years, which has been the longest we've had one, and he's excellent. He provides support not just for students who are struggling in grade level math, but he will provide assistance for students who are in Calc BC and even Calc 3 if needed. So he can do the highest level of math. We support summer school, some summer school salaries, summer bridge salary, as well as some instructional supplies and some software programming. For example, we use the ALEX program. It's an online math program. We use that in some math courses. There's actually called courseware, a course product in some courses, and in our PQL, which is preparation for quantitative literacy, our transition math class, we also use ALEX, and I fund it for South High students out of Title And then the last part of the plan is the bilingual service plan, and this is, the bilingual service plan is not new. It's nearly identical to what it was before. It's just now embedded in the consolidated district plan. And we have to answer a series of questions about what our program looks like. So what kind of classes do you offer? What are the endorsements of your teachers? What professional development are you going to send your teachers to? What professional development are you going to do for all staff? So required by law is that annually, we train all of our teachers on how to work with English learners, what it means to be an English learner, how to work with English learners, as obviously a lot of our teachers will have EL students in their classes. But we also do targeted PD. I talked a little bit about Elevation, which I'm really excited about. And that's a program that will help us better support students and work with families in terms of especially some of the low incidence languages for students that we serve, as well as teachers as they provide information relative to our EL students who are in consult. We need to show how we're integrating the Spanish language arts classes into our bilingual classes, which we do that in our bilingual global connections. We also do it in our heritage Spanish class, which the board approved a few years ago, and we've been able to run every year at South High and some years at North High as well. And then it also references what we refer to as our BPAC, which is our Bilingual Parent Advisory Committee, where we need to meet the regulation law, which is 4 meetings a year. We exceed that every year, but we need to give our tentative meeting schedule, what our agenda topics will be, and some of them are required by law. So for example, on Thursday night, I presented at our Bilingual Parent Advisory meeting about the Consolidated District Plan, about the Bilingual Service Plan, about the EBF spending plan, about how we use our LIEP grant, how we use our Immigrant Education Grant, and how our new award, which we just received, which is a new grant, the Bilingual Service Award. So for example, that is a requirement that our BPAC families can provide input on all of these different plans and grants. That is, believe it or not, just a summary. There is, the 4-page document is also a summary, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I'd like to do the accounting program that we use now.
We have dual credit for financial accounting, which is relatively new too.
I have a question for you. Going back to your first slide, you had spoke about the Title IV.
Yes.
And the different resources and opportunity that it provides for students. Could you expound a little more on some of the ones which you are excited about?
So, obviously I'm not good at that. Title IV is by far my favorite grant. In fact, I just presented at IATD, Illinois Association of Title I Directors, about Title IV and how you can creatively use Title IV. So you heard me mention the seal of biliteracy, and we give a couple of tests to students. I mean, obviously, they can elect to take the test or not. We offer them. So the Apple test, for example, and the STAMP test, which allows students to show if they have proficiency in various languages. I fund those are free of charge to our students. I do not want our students, if we can find a way to fund it, we found a way. So we fund that out of Title IV. So that's very exciting. You heard me talk about Calculus 3. So as a way to reduce tuition for those students taking Calculus 3, it's called braiding funds. I use part of Title IV to support that.
Wow.
Prior to about 3 years ago, we were able to use Title I funds at both North and South, even though North doesn't qualify, because I put in a waiver with the Department of Education, because there's this little part of the law that says if your schools are basically about less than 10% in a difference between your free reduced lunch population, you can use it at both schools. Unfortunately, and we had applied for it and received it for several years, unfortunately, our gap ended up at 12%, and we were not able to get it. So I now fund part of the AVID program for North High out of Title IV. I fund some mostly consumable supplies for our Project Lead the Way biomedical classes out of Title IV. And that's all I can remember off the top of my head.
That's fantastic.
I might have missed something. Now I'm going to go and look.
That's great.
So I apologize if I missed anything.
No, that's
but-
great.
But
Thank
those
you.
are programs that really enrich
Right.
the opportunities for our students.
Right.
Right? And I think are beneficial to families because, for example, paying for those ample and stamp tests, using some of that for tuition, it gives a little bit of a more level playing field economically for some of our families. I'd hate to think that some students wouldn't be getting the sealed by literacy because they could not
afford
pay
it.
for the test.
Thank you.
And it's not funded through property tax revenues. It's funded through grants.
It's funded through grants, absolutely.
Those are all federal.
They're
grant
federal
funds.
grants.
Mhm.
And Title IV is relatively new. It's only been, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years now.
Mhm.
It's relatively new.
Well, there used to be a Title IV, then it
Right,
went
but
away,
they
and now it's
re-
back.
And for a different purpose, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Repurposed.
All right, any other questions for Gina? As you can tell, she puts a lot of work into this plan and knows it very well, and is well recognized in the area as an expert and leader in this area. We're lucky to have her.
Yes.
That was a fantastic presentation. Thank you very much.
It was long.
We'll check the tape for how long.
Oh, gosh.
Actually, I have a slide that didn't load here, so Rob has one up here on a textbook approval that's in the agenda. I've just dropped a slide from it. So in today's action item is a recommendation for a single textbook for accounting, right? Financial accounting.
Yeah, I thought I also had an hour to do a presentation.
You do, but it's after we adjourn.
You thought you had us.
Any questions on the recommended textbook? All right, district depositories, I think this is jury.
Yes, on an annual basis, we provide the board with the list of depositories that the district uses, along with the listing of each bank account and the authorized signers for each account. In the packet today is a resolution that we bring to the board every year, just authorizing the use of the depositories and authorizing the district administration to sign and complete any documents that are needed for the accounts.
So new board members, there's certain things that come back every year. A few of these are, you're seeing tonight, like English department novels. Generally auditor, although we're doing a 3-year deal tonight. District depositories, textbooks, these are generally reoccurring items that you'll see quite frequently, well, at least once a year.
Dree, any concerns with the banking failures?
Not so far.
No? Okay.
Right.
Not directly impacting our banking relationship.
No, not at
but do you-
all.
Do you have any concerns there at all that we should be aware of? Okay,
No.
thank you.
Last item in the superintendent's report is freedom of information requests. New board members will be going through a freedom of information training as part of your onboarding. We do, freedom of information requests and responses are public documents. We post them on our website. If you search for FOIA, you will be brought to this page. Behind Scott, there's a little blue button where if you click on that, it will open up the list of all of our recently fulfilled FOIA requests. Our communications team and Julie update that as we respond to those. So we, at each board meeting, I will generally tell you, we have received them and we have responded to them, and we have.
Question, can I just, do you receive requests most months? Is it a fairly, like, couple of months?
Sometimes most days.
Most days? Wow, okay.
It just depends.
Okay, it's a lot, okay.
It's a lot.
Moving to the consent agenda, item 9 of our agenda. I need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the consent agenda as presented, which includes A, personnel report, appointment certified, reassignment classified, appointment classified. B, personnel report, resignation classified. C, financial pages. D, 2022-2023 final calendar. E, the student trip. F, acceptance of donation from the District 99 Education Foundation. Excuse me. G, acceptance of donation, Margaret Lapine. H, acceptance of grant, Project Lead the Way. I, acceptance of award, Samsung Solve for Tomorrow Challenge.
So moved. Oh, go ahead. Sherelle.
Go ahead, VP.
Sherelle moved and second.
Me.
Terry Patterson.
Thank you.
Before we take a vote, I would just like to do a quick thank you to the District 99 Education Foundation for their continued support through their grants. And then Margaret Lapine is a community member that's making a donation to our Fine Arts Department. And then, Gina, can you say a couple words about the grants?
Absolutely. So you may notice that Project Lead the Way, Brandy Palmarin, who is a South High engineering teacher, so in our career and technical education department, she is a go-getter. And she applies for all kinds of awards and grants. And so she really single-handedly was able to obtain the Project Lead the Way grant, which you don't get every time you apply for, so I just want to point that out. And that's $10,000 in materials. That's through Project Lead the Way as well as Caterpillar Foundation. She plans to use those in our PLTW engineering classes. They use VEX kits, so she plans to use it for that. And then she also entered sort of a contest for Samsung and was able to get a $12,000 package for South High School, and the goal is to replace the monitors that are in C163 and then get some programmable, circuit boards. So very exciting.
Fantastic.
So great work by Brandy there. Yes.
Go Caterpillar.
I just wanted to make sure while we were in there that we mentioned those things.
Yeah.
So thank you to everyone.
Yes.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Kara Caston.
Aye.
Ken Dawson.
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
And Don Renner.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 10, recommendations for action. I need a motion for the Board of Education to accept a proposal from Miller Cooper & Co., Limited, for basic auditing, supplementary accounting, and ACFR services for the 3 fiscal years ending June 30th, 2023 through June 30th, 2025.
So moved.
Chris?
Second?
Second. I'll second.
Kristen Terry.
Yep.
Thank you. Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Kara Caston.
Aye.
Ken Dawson.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
And Don Renner.
Aye. Item number B, I need a motion for the Board of Education to accept the lowest responsible bid of $122,598.04 from BookPal to provide novels for the 2023-2024 school year.
So moved. Oh.
No, I don't know who's.
Terry and Sherelle.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Kara Caston.
Aye.
Ken Dawson.
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
And Don Renner.
Aye. Motion carries. Item C, I need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the consolidated district plan as presented.
So moved.
Ken moves, Jenny second.
Thank you. Ken Dawson.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Kara Caston.
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
And Don Renner.
Aye. Motion carries. Item D, I need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the additional textbook for the 2023-2024 school year as presented.
So moved.
Chris
I'll
moves,
second.
Terry
I'll
second.
Thank you. Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Kara Caston.
Aye.
Ken Dawson.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
And Don Renner.
Aye. Motion carries. Item E, I need a motion for the Board of Education to adopt the resolution authorizing depositories and authorize the district administration to complete and sign all appropriate documents required to maintain district accounts at the depositories listed.
So moved.
Second.
Jenny, Sherelle.
Thank you. Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Carrie Caston.
Aye.
Ken Dawson.
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
And Don Renner.
Aye, motion carries. Item F, I need a motion for the Board of Education to hold the June 5th, 2023 Board of Education meeting entirely in closed session for the purpose of self-evaluation, practices and procedures, or professional ethics when meeting with a representative of a statewide association of which the district is a member.
So moved.
Second.
Jenny and Chris.
Thank you. Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Kara Caston.
Aye.
Ken Dawson.
Aye.
And Don Renner.
Aye. Motion carries.
So that last vote, just for the public knows, our next meeting on June 5th will be entirely in closed session, will not be open to the public as the board is doing self-evaluation.
Item 11, old business.
I have none.
Item 12, any new business.
I have none.
Dr. Thiele, I think we may have skipped over allowing new board members to just maybe make a public comment.
This would be the spot at reception of visitors where
Okay.
new board members could absolutely make a comment.
So
Sure.
you'd like me to do that in item 13?
Yeah, if you'd like to do that now. Yeah.
Now?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're there.
Okay.
So first, I just wanted to thank Nancy Kupka, Mike Davenport, and Joanna Vasquez Drexler for their service to D99. And I'm well aware that we have very big shoes to fill, and I have a lot to learn, but I'm very motivated to be the most effective school board member I can be. I also want to thank the D99 teachers and support staff for their commitment and passion to our students, and I look forward to learning how, in my role, I can better support and empower them so that we continue to retain and attract the best talent. And then lastly, I'm honored to work with you, Dr. Thiele, and the existing board members to address the top challenges the district is facing and continue to just be an innovative leader among high schools so that students are future ready, future focused. So thank you.
I am honored and grateful to become a member of our D99 Board of Education. I want to thank all of you in the D99 community who have made this possible. I look forward to supporting and working with our amazing teachers, our awesome support staff, our incredible principals, our dedicated administrators, and our amazing Dr. Thiele, who is leading the team.
We'll see what you think in a couple of weeks.
Our goal is to continue to improve on the academic excellence at both of our high schools, to ensure that all of our students are provided with the support, the guidance, and the resources that they need to be successful, both in school and in life. And I promise you, the best is yet to come.
I want to thank the D99 community for believing in Ken, Kara, and me. We're very eager to continue to make D99 the best it can be. It's great to be back at D99, and I know we are lucky to be joining a positive and high-functioning Board of Education. I very much look forward to working with Sherelle and Jenny and Chris and Terry, as well as Ken and Kara. I think we have an amazing school district filled with outstanding teachers and staff, as well as fantastic administrators led by Dr. Thiele. But we're not without our challenges, and we certainly have room to grow and improve. We should never rest on prior success, but continually look for ways to challenge our administrators and to support our teachers and staff to set up our children for future success. I'm excited to get started and to take on those challenges that are facing D99. I promise that for each and every decision we make as a school board, that we will always look through the lens of what is in the best interest of our students. And I know if we allow that to be our moral compass as a Board of Education, I know that we'll be successful. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Don.
Awesome. Welcome.
Welcome to all three of you.
Item number 13, do we have any reception of visitors?
No.
Okay.
Any of our current board members, anything that they would like to share at this time?
I'm sorry, I should have asked.
No, I'm just trying to make sure we cover all our bases.
No, I just want to say welcome to all three of the new members. I think you will be an asset to our board, and I know that there's probably a lot of the acronyms that you heard tonight that didn't register, but with time, It'll all come. It'll all come. And Gina can answer any of those questions. And she would be happy to. So anyway, I just want to say welcome, and I think we'll do great work here for our students and for our staff. And so it'll be a great opportunity, so.
And I again want to welcome you guys and know that we are here for you guys coming on to the board. There is no dumb question. You know, they let me know that, all the ones I asked initially. So feel free to reach out for help. And we have a great staff, as you guys, staff that is willing to help and know what they're doing. So we are looking forward to helping you guys, you know, come up to speed and working very closely with you.
Thank you.
It goes for our student board members as well.
Yes.
If you need us to explain something, just because you spend all your time in school doesn't mean you know, like, what's going on here, right? So feel free, stop us. Anybody, if you have questions around the table, we're here to serve you.
And if not, we know where to find the answers.
Gina.
Julie too.
Yeah, or Julie.
Yes, or Julie.
Yeah. Just look right past me.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to item number 14, communications and announcements. Jenny, do you have anything to report on LEND?
I don't. I was unable to attend the last meeting, but there is a meeting coming up on Friday, and Dr. Tony Sanders, the Illinois State Superintendent, will be a guest speaker. I forget if it's in person or remote.
Yes, it's in person.
Okay, yeah,
Yep,
so it's
yep.
in person in Glen
It'll be probably a full house with
Yeah,
Tony being
yeah.
there. Related, we did get several pieces of legislation moved through the houses, including the changes in graduation scores, so that our transition students no longer count against our graduation scores. That we're waiting for that to go through. Requirements for community colleges to share remediation data with us. So we'll get actual student data around students that are moving into remedial programs, so we can try to figure out kind of what's leading to that. And there was there's another one that impacts,
Property?
no,
The
it's
surety bonds.
the surety bonds.
Oh, the surety bonds.
Moving that from a 25% hold to 10. So those were all things that LEND was actively working on. And then I was recently added to a committee working with Tony Sanders through the superintendent's organization, looking at our state data system called IWAS. I don't even know what IWAS stands for. Illinois, something. I don't know what it stands for. It stands for something. But it's our state data and reporting system, and it is very antiquated. So it predates Gina, probably. So, not that Gina's old.
Probably
I'm
when I
not
started
trying to
teaching.
infer that, Gina.
Yeah.
So I'll be serving in that. That was a LEND initiative as well, to get legislation that would require Illinois State Board of Education to revisit that. But instead, ISB has said, don't write the law, we'll work with you on that. So that was a big LEND initiative as well, that we kind of worked through an alternative pathway to get that.
Gina's got it here.
Illinois Web Application Security.
I would have never guessed
I
in
never
a
knew
thousand
that.
years.
It's the first time I've ever been
Illinois
asked.
Web Application Security.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Got that? I didn't know that one.
Actually, it's ISB. It's an acronym inside of an acronym.
It is true.
It's like Inception here. Yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think Joanna was the representative for SACID, correct?
I have the first operation meeting with them next week under the new structure. So, and then we need to, by our next board meeting, name that next governance person.
That's the goal.
Yeah, yeah.
Terry, a report from the Education Foundation?
Yes, we are meeting Wednesday, so this is the previous month. We did some grants tonight, and we also want to thank the DGEA for their donation to the foundation, and that really helps us provide more
grants for teachers. So it's a win-win situation. And we are joining the National Association of Education Foundations.
Oh, wow.
So. Yeah, we have to write the check first, but that is our plan. And that is something that we have not done before, and so this is our part of our steps to better our foundation. So that is what I have.
Thank you. Chris, do you have a report from the Illinois Association of School Boards?
Yeah, the joint annual conference this year is going to be held the weekend of November 18th. It'll be the 17th through the 19th. It's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This year's conference, there is a full day of equity training available through IASB on the Thursday, November 16th, prior to the meeting for anybody who's interested. And registration for the conference opens at 8 a.m. on Monday, June 5th. So all of us who are able to attend should
Sign up
talk
for
to
that.
Julie.
Yeah, Julie will be reaching out with information. Yeah.
Downtown.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yes, and it's downtown at, where is it?
Hyatt.
Yeah.
It's a great experience for new board members, especially because there's a lot of presentations on both days about topics that are, facing board members and members of the board. So I find it to be rather educational. And it's just a fun time for us to get together outside the context of a board meeting.
Some good learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great presentation.
And I'll bake cookies this time.
But this is one of the 3 key professional learning opportunities for boards over the course of the year. It's this one, and then we have 2 DuPage division meetings. But, just like we talk about all the professional learning our teachers and staff engage with, this is the opportunity for, as board members, for you to have professional growth as well. And to model that for everybody else.
And it's really nice to meet people from other districts and see what they're doing, because, it's not, we're not an island, and the more we reach out to other parts and that, because, I think DuPage County is a unique part of Illinois, where it's a large state, and you find that there's a lot of things going on in the southern part of the state, or even the western part, that is different than what we find. So it's very much a worthwhile endeavor.
Agreed. Superintendent's cover is listed here.
That's just for the board.
Okay.
And then upcoming board meetings is next. So June 5th is the one we mentioned that's entirely in closed session. Then we'll have one business meeting on June 12th. That falls out of our normal cycle because our normal date would be Juneteenth, which is now a state and federal holiday, and the offices will be closed on that day. So we moved it up to the 12th. And then the calendar that the board approved tonight then kicks in for the next school year.
So those would be back-to-back meetings, those trip meetings.
Yeah, so the June is the tricky one. It'll be back-to-back, yep. I know it throws everybody off. But remember, the 5th is closed session, then the 12th is a regular business meeting.
Then item 16, I need a motion for the Board of Education to go into closed session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or a volunteer of that district, or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity.
So moved.
Second.
Chris and Terry, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I forgot my job for a second. No, I usually.
Somebody.
I paused.
It's me. I just, I dropped the ball.
It's okay. Chris Espinoza.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Kara Caston.
Aye.
Ken Dawson.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
And Don Renner.
Aye, motion carries. To announce to the public, the board will not be taking any action except to adjourn after coming out of closed session.
And closed session will be held in this room, so once everybody steps out, we'll resume closed session if board members need to take a quick break. This would be the time to do so.
Good night. Good night, everyone.